That's why they call it social engineering. I'm basically manipulating into you giving me the information I need without me having to hack into your computer to get it.
Right.
Uh, and so that's the purpose behind. You'll notice the one thing in common with all these phishing attacks, whether it's emails, text, over the phone, different things like that, they're all trying to get you to click on a button someplace, go to a website, download a picture, whatever it is. The
Mhm.
majority of the time, what they're trying to do.
Welcome, everyone, to the Smarter Online Safety Podcast. I'm your host, Jocelyn King, and it is a pleasure to not only be here with you, but to be here with an incredible guest, one of my favorite people in the world of cybersecurity, and that is Todd Mitchell. Todd is the owner of Cybersecurity for Biz, a disabled, veteran owned small business. He's a retired U.S. Navy veteran and cybersecurity expert with over 30 years of experience. So, first of all, thank you for your service, Todd, both in the military, and thank you for your service now, helping all of us be safer online. He's a member of the National Institutes of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework called NIST, and he's on their advisory board for CSF. He holds advanced degrees in cybersecurity policy, IT, and business. And Todd's specialty is helping solopreneurs and micro businesses achieve compliance and protect their customers' information. So, how many of you own a small business? But let's face it, all of us do business with a small business. And when we talk about protecting your own information and data, all the small businesses that you do business with have that information, and some of it could be compromised. So he's going to fill us in on some of that. He also empowers families. He helps dads and moms keep their kids safe from online threats and prevention focused strategies that help us build a cyber safe culture. And that's why I am so thrilled. Welcome, Todd. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Jocelyn. I'm glad to have you here. It's an honor to be able to be with you and your audience.
Oh, thank you. So you've got a whole background. Tell us a little bit, for the audience listening. These are everyday people who don't always see what is going on behind the scenes in cybersecurity. And tell us a bit about some of your experiences that you've had.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd like to mention that the way we get as a normal person to what your view of what cybersecurity is, it probably comes from a lot of Hollywood movies and things like that, which make it look like there's some guy in a hoodie and clacking away on a keyboard in the middle of the night in their mom's basement or something. And
Hmm.
in actuality, 92% of data breaches are caused by human error. And the largest
Repeat
majority,
that number.
oh, 92% are
Listen to
caused by
that.
human error.
92%,
Yep.
over 9 and 10. Think about that.
And 80% of the human error is clicking on a phishing attack. So if we could get people to quit clicking stuff, we could pretty much eliminate data breaches.
Wow.
Uh, and
Huge.
so one of the things that I always caution people is, whether you're a business that's been entrusted with other people's information, or whether you're a consumer and you're trying to keep it safe when you're dealing with businesses and things like that, it's just, ask some tough questions. A lot of us in our daily lives, every time you call the doctor or uh, go to, enroll in school, and the first thing they want to ask you is your social security number, and it's like, why? Why do you need this? And what are you doing to keep it safe? And if they can't come up with some good answers, start, and sooner or later they will. And as the same thing with you as a business owner, when you're asking people for all this information, do you really need all that stuff? And what are you doing to protect it?
I remember when I was going through being targeted by cyber criminals, and just I just knew I was unsafe anywhere. And even if I wasn't on my device, I knew that information on my device was already being compromised. But I remember calling, and I remember even being in a doctor's office, a doctor or dentist, I can't remember who, and they were asking me for it, and they were literally writing down my social security number on a piece of paper. And I thought, oh no, I can't do. And I just said, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you. I need to protect my information from hacking, and I'm, and then just to change the subject, kind of, I said, do people actually give you their social security number? Like I made it this incredulous kind of statement, because I think when most people are asked, just out of social norms and stuff, most people feel obligated to
Mhm.
give it, and it's hard for people to stop and say, "Well, I'm not comfortable." Well, no, I'm not comfortable giving you that. Why? Why are you asking, and what else can we do? And so what advice do you have for people of like what they could offer to give instead, or to question it more? Because part of it is just actually thinking on the spot of how do you avoid giving it out.
Right. And a lot of it, so to kind of back up a step, I guess I would say the reason why everybody always wants to ask you for that is somewhere along the lines in the, I don't know, 80s, 90s, when computers really became a thing.
Mhm,
And everybody was putting all their information in a database.
mhm,
And if you know the inner workings of a database, every record or entry in the database has to have a unique identifier.
mhm.
And a lot of these companies, instead of thinking up their own numbering scheme for all their clients and customers, just got lazy and used the social security number because they know everybody has one.
Right.
So, like in my business, I made up a number. It's basically the year, the 2-digit month, the 2-digit day, and then like if you were the second person I talked to that day, it'd be O2 at the end or whatever. But it's a unique number that only means something to me, but it won't disclose any personal information from you if it gets out. So, uh, a lot of businesses should be doing that. And, the more we question as consumers, you know, uh, unfortunately, if you're trying to enroll your kid in school and you won't give them a social security number, you're probably just not going to get your kid in school. So
Fair enough.
you're
Right.
kind of, but the more people who question that, the more people who bring it up, write emails to the superintendent's office and all that, eventually they will start changing the way they do business and quit asking for critical information. Um, and as far as you had said something about your devices and things. And I think there's one thing to notice the difference of is why these phishing attacks happen and what the kind of the technology behind it. So
Yeah.
it's part of a broader thing called social engineering. And the whole point behind social engineering is somebody figured out along the time that I don't need to write code for 12 hours to hack into your computer. If I can have a conversation with you either face to face, over an email, uh, target your social media or whatever, and I get you to give me your password or give me other critical information anyways. And then so that's why they call it social engineering. I'm basically manipulating into you giving me the information I need without me having to hack into your computer to get it.
Right.
Uh, and so that's the purpose behind. You'll notice the one thing in common with all these phishing attacks, whether it's emails, text, over the phone, different things like that, they're all trying to get you to click on a button someplace, go to a website, download a picture, whatever it is. The
Mhm.
majority of the time, what they're trying to do is get you to click. And the reason why is when you load normal as a legitimate software on your computer, the first thing that happens, your operating system pops up and says, "Hey, this is trying to make changes to your computer. Do you want to let it? Yes or no?" So what they're doing is trying to get you to click a button so they can go tell your operating system, "Hey, look, Jocelyn clicked this button. She wants this on here," and it bypasses that security check,
Mhm.
and then they can load their malware.
Right.
So that's why
And
it's
for
critical.
people listening who won't understand better, what is malware exactly? How would you
So
describe?
malware is a shortened version of malicious software. And basically, what that means is any software that is designed to do bad things or good software that's being used the wrong way.
Great,
Um,
great definition.
and as a big general, yeah, as a generalization, that's basically what that is. So, um, it could be legitimate software for remote access that your IT guy needs, but if the bad guys are using it to remotely access, then that's not good.
Right.
So, some things that you can look out for is I think we had mentioned off camera that the difference between what's on your computer and what's not on your computer yet.
Mhm.
And uh, you have a lot of things that happen in your browser or over your text messages and things. So those aren't actually on your computer yet until you click that button and then it downloads something. So the best way to stay safe is to think before you click on these things. Are you expecting this? PayPal, email from PayPal saying, here's a copy of your receipt. Well, did you pay for something with PayPal? Were you expecting this? You notice on there that the thing is like 250 megabits or something, and a piece of paper is only like 12 kilobytes. So this is like 100 times bigger than it needs to be. So, ignore it. Go open a different browser tab and go to PayPal and look on PayPal and see if they're trying to tell you something, and
Right.
or little things like that. So, just be extra critical.
I was
Um,
texting with a woman named Karen over the weekend because she had emailed our services at smarteronlinesafety.com. She was in a panic because she had gotten a text that said it was an authorization for a MacBook purchase on her Amazon account. And there was a link to click on it. She almost clicked it. And she said, well, wait a minute, I'm gonna contact that SOS lady. And so she emailed us and we were just saying, well, the number one thing would be to go, since they actually said it's through your Amazon account, definitely never click on any link in a SMS text. And she knew to do that. So good job, Karen. That her spidey senses were working.
yeah,
But I said, open your Amazon account and see if there's anything in there. And of course, there wasn't. What additional advice would you have for Karen and people facing that who are getting these? They almost look legitimate, but they're not. They're
right.
false charges, things that do put that fear that I have to act now, or I'm going to get this charge I can't reverse, or I'm going to lose money, or my mortgage payment's not going to go through, or something. All those fear mongering techniques that hackers use. What advice do you have for people in that?
Just take a step back, take a deep breath, and just think about it. And I think, like you said, don't let your angst about technology and things like that overrule your spidey sense, as you put it just a minute ago. I mean, that, I actually just had a phone call 2 days ago from one of my clients that somebody from the FBI called her and told her there was an arrest warrant out for her, and the only way she could get around it was to show them that they needed access to her computer to prove that she wasn't part of some Bitcoin scam.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they wanted all this access to her bank account and her computer and everything else. And the
Mm.
whole thing was a scam.
Oh,
Uh, she, she, at first she was scared. She started working with, cooperating and all that. And then after a minute, she started thinking about it and
well,
she's like,
because
wait
you
a minute.
think you're dealing with the FBI. You're thinking with and you're
Yeah,
thinking, I've got to, go along with this and not
right.
be difficult because I don't want to get myself in trouble.
And it's the
And the
same,
hackers
yep.
rely on you feeling that way.
And it's the same type of situation, where Spidey sense was like, wait a minute, what, I don't do Bitcoin. Why is the FBI calling me? How do they know it's on my computer? All this stuff. So she eventually hung up, and then she called the FBI and they were like, yeah, we don't know nothing about it. First of all, second of all, if we got a warrant out for your arrest, you're not going to know it till we kick your front door down and snatch you up. It's
Mhm.
kind of a
Right.
thing.
We're not
Uh,
going to call you and give you a heads up.
exactly. So, and that's what I meant. Let that spidey sense ring. Let that common sense kick in. You know, a lot of these scams, they exactly what you said. They design these things around getting you to panic and not think straight, so that you just jump in and do without really thinking about it. And that's where, just take a step back, take a deep breath, and go, wait a minute, what is this? Why I don't use PayPal? What the heck is all this? Or whatever. And most legitimate places, like my bank, actually sends me a text about every 6 months reminding me that they will never ask me anything in a text message other than send me a message saying, we left you a message on the website, go find it.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so if I ever get something from somebody pretending to be my bank, I know it's not real because my bank doesn't operate that way.
Right.
So
And
that's
no legitimate financial institution should do anything that could potentially be construed as a cyber crime hit.
and not only won't they, but they kind of almost can't if they're
Correct.
following the laws.
Right.
Because according to the federal regulations, it's a data breach to send a text message out to somebody that they're not 100% certain is you
Mm.
with your financial information in it. Same thing with the doctor's office. Can't just call you up and randomly, if they call and leave a message because you miss an appointment or whatever, they're
Mhm.
not going to give your name, social security number, date of birth, and what's wrong with you over that message. They can't disclose that information until they verify your identity.
Correct, because
So,
that would be violating PII, personally identifiable information laws, which particularly for medical and other
yep.
institutions
Medical, the medical
is a
industry
crime.
and the medical industry and we don't have a national law like they do in Europe that covers all of everybody's identity, but we do have in the financial industry and in the healthcare industry and the government contracting world, there are very specific laws that dictate how they have to handle your information as a consumer.
Right. That's great. You know, a lot of people are seeing too that they'll get a text and they'll think this may seem suspicious, or they get an email, it seems suspicious, and then there's an immediate concern that I get this question a lot that, oh, I think my phone or my computer has been hacked because I'm getting this. Could you walk people through so we can all understand the difference between getting a text and actually having an infected, device, and how to tell the difference, how to tell an infected device?
Yeah. So with those, yeah, you're 100% correct on those. Those things, you're not actually, they have not infected your device yet. They're trying to get you to click on something so that
They're
it can
trying to
download.
infect, they're trying to
Right?
and
Yes.
attempting to infect your device.
Yes, exactly. And most of the time, it's a random target. I mean, they call it phishing. I know it's spelled weird and all that, but they call it phishing for a reason. You don't go to the lake and look in the water and go, well, I want that fish. You just throw your hook out there and see what bites. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. They sent that same email to 10,000 other people, and they're just going to see who clicks it. And so if you can avoid that, then you won't get infected on your computer. And some of the ways you could tell your computer's getting infected is normally most of the bad guys are after two things. They kind of fall into two categories. They're either trying to get information or they're trying to extort you for money. So they either want your credit card number so they can open a credit card and go buy a bunch of stuff on your card or whatever, or they're trying to get information from you that they could sell on the dark web for money. uh, you know, social security numbers, credit card numbers, and things like that are available on the dark web. So,
And by the way,
mo-
some of the things that I've read, and those your information is worth 25 to $1,000, like for a viable bank account, credit card number with a social security, that's like $1,000 thing. So
actually,
you can lose thousands of dollars, and people I've talked to have lost tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, and I was one of those. And it's not even worth that much compared to your loss, but
right,
it's a huge amount for the people who are making it because an internet connection and malware can gain a hacker, they can make $25,000 in a month, and that's
right,
really, really
and
good
it going
money.
by volume. Your bank account number is only worth like $2 or $3, but if they got 10,000 of them,
Mhm.
now it's worth,
Yes.
and that's a lot of how they operate. And as far as keeping yourself safe, the best things you could do is what I call a core four.
Say that
Strong
again.
pass,
You call it what?
the core four.
4-4. Here we
Yeah,
go.
the
All right,
core, the
everybody,
core
get
four.
ready. Here we
Core
go.
four things you need to do. The
Okay.
first one is usernames and passwords and multi-factor authentication. So
Mhm.
a strong password, and I'm not talking your dog's name with the number one on the end. I'm talking about a phrase that's at least 12 characters long.
Right.
Um,
You gave the
inside,
tips on that in our last podcast of how to
yep,
do like a passphrase instead of a
yep,
password and things,
exactly.
how to make it
Uh,
easy.
and multi-factor authentication, I can't stress enough. I mean, this is like a deadbolt lock on your front door. If
Mhm.
if somebody finds out your username and password, let's say, and they post it on the internet, so now everybody knows it. There's like 3 billion people on this planet that can hack into your bank account because they got your username and password.
Right.
If you have multi-factor authentication and you have to put in a code from your phone to get into your bank account, now there's only a half a dozen people that can get access to your account.
Right.
And
Right.
hopefully most of them are friends, So it severely reduces your target
Right.
down. The second thing is keep,
Just to recap, so it prevents the number of people who can get into your account down to,
yes,
or who could get into your account, down to those who can, and you have to grant that access. So
yep,
super
exactly.
important.
And the next thing is going to be your keeping your software up to date. Uh, Bad guys are always trying to hack into Windows and Apple, and every time they figure out how to do it, Windows or Apple will send out security patches so that it's fixing the hole that they bad guy just found or whatever. So
Right.
if you don't keep your software up to date, now there's a known way of hacking into Windows and you didn't update your software, so you're vulnerable.
It's
So
basically like having your back door open and not realizing it, and the way to close that door is to install the software update, the patch.
Yep.
Yeah, because a lot of
Correct.
people will see, oh, you got a software update, and they're like, oh, I'll do it tonight. Well, I'll do it this weekend because they don't want to reboot or they don't want to interrupt their day.
Right.
Um, and just real quick, like I was teaching a class one afternoon in one of my workshops, and I just pulled up you know, the live map of how many hacks that day. And, by 2 p.m. Pacific, it was 15 million and some that were going on. So think about that, everybody. That's how many cyber attacks are going on. And so you're basically playing a large scale Russian roulette by not updating
Yes.
the software, right? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep. Correct. And then the third thing is uh, making sure that your firewall and your router, are doing their job. Basically, think of a firewall as a bouncer at the door of the nightclub checking for VIP passes.
Oh, I
You
like
don't
that.
want that guy having a smoke break on the other side of the parking lot. You want him standing there doing his job. So make sure your firewall's turned on. Make sure it's on the highest settings, not the lowest settings. Things like that. And then the fourth thing, which we kind of been talking about already, is learning how to identify a phishing attack and credit card scams, gift card scams, people calling saying they're the FBI, Social Security, whoever, learning to recognize those things and not giving them any information.
Right. So if you're getting a call and they say they're the police or the FBI or they're some official, um, one rule of thumb would be to let me have your name and your extension and your ID number, and I'm going to call back and get back to you. That generally leads in the hacker hanging up. Yeah.
And I wouldn't even
Also-
ask them for their phone number. I would ask them where they work and you'll find the phone number and call them
Okay.
because they could be giving you a fake phone number that's going to ring right back to them and then they'll answer it.
Well, that's right. And
But
by the way, that's why all of us get phone calls usually from our own area code as well, because they're just it's a
yeah,
fake. It's a fake. Now, what you're seeing as the number is not the real number they're dialing.
it's spoofing. And
Yes.
there's things, if you're a business owner, there's things that you should be doing to make sure you're not being spoofed. The last thing you want to have happen is all of your clients getting an email from you supposedly saying, hey, something went wrong with this accounting software we're using. I need you to make your payment again in this other account or whatever. And now all of a sudden, all your clients just got hacked off of you, type of
Right.
situation.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and that's critical. Let me add this too. I know that we were just saying that 50 to 60% of all cyber attacks are aimed at small businesses because let's face it, they don't have the IT and cyber expertise and budgets that the large. I mean, the corporates make all of the when a corporation gets hacked, they make the news because it affects so many people, and we all get the
Right.
letters. But small businesses are hacked much more often, and that's where your information. And 2/3 of those that are hacked don't survive 6 months after. And so
Yep.
it's really, really important, whether you're a small business owner or have a friend or family member who owns a small business, or you do business with them. Think of it, your veterinarian, your dentist, your doctor, if they're not part of a large conglomerate, all of those, your accountant, your tax preparer, it can be anything. Think of all the small businesses you do business with. And we want you to be doing business with small businesses, but you do have to protect yourself. And don't you think, Todd, that it's a service when you help question them about their own practices? You do this all day long with your
Yes.
clients because even your tagline in your email and on your website says, help, what do you say? Help protect.
Uh, uh, because your customers trust you to protect their information. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So think about that. And so whether you're a customer or the small business owner, you have a vested interest in in that information being protected.
Mhm.
And, and you don't want to be going to your favorite veterinarian or something and find that they went out of business or they got hacked or all your data went missing. And so you're doing them a service by challenging their practices or lack thereof when they're asking you for things that you
Right.
shouldn't be giving out.
And most of them, yeah, and I think because it's a two-way street. We need to question the businesses that we're doing business with on when you start asking me for all this stuff, what are you doing to protect it? And then as a business, you have to also you I guess the other piece of that is don't assume that these businesses have their stuff together.
That's true.
You
They're
know,
so busy just trying to build their business, run their business,
Yeah,
their business afloat, that that the the must-haves can turn into nice-to-haves.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we all, HIPAA has been around as a law protecting people's medical information for almost 30 years now, but there's still I've run into, you'll get a doctor's office that they pay $70,000 a year for some highfalutin software to run their back office and keep everything safe,
Right.
except they got the username and password to it on a sticky note in the corner of their monitor that you can see through the window from the reception desk.
Yes.
So, how
Yeah.
safe are you really? You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That is so great. Wow. Well, boy, time has just flown, but this has been so amazing. This is so chock full of information. I love the core four. Definitely want to invite you back on for later rep. We're going to have a whole episode or two just talking about firewalls and routers and Wi-Fi and things like that, because those are topics that are complicated. And here on Smarter Online Safety Podcast, we like to keep things simple so that they're very doable and actionable. So you gave the core four, you gave some great information, some great tips. But if there's two things that people can do in the next 24 hours to protect themselves, what would you boil it down to?
I would boil that down to get some online videos and figure out how to identify a phishing attack.
Great.
That's going to be your biggest thing. And then the second thing is take a look at your passwords and make sure that they're really strong. Make sure it's a word you can't find in the dictionary.
Okay, there you go. I love that. And we will have some links coming up as well for people to identify. We're actually going to have a Can You Spot the Scam, some reels and stuff coming out where we're showing some actual, very life like legitimate looking um, pop-ups and emails and text messages that look pretty darn legitimate, but have a
Mhm.
spot that they're not. So stay tuned for those. And Todd, thank you so much. Thank you for your service in the Navy. And thank
Oh,
you for
thank
your
you.
service now for all of us. And thank you for helping to protect kids. I definitely want to have you back for an episode just on how we can help protect our kids from all the online predators that are out there. And that's important. Everybody, parents, grandparents, and not everybody has kids in their life that need protection, deserve protection, and we are better as a family and a community and a world when we're protecting our kids. So we'll have you back on for that as well. Thank you so much, and we'll put some links in below. And if people who are small business owners or know somebody who is want to get a hold of you for help for their business, how can they find you?
My website's whoops, wrong way there. Cybersecurity for Biz with the number four, cybersecurityforbiz.com. And I've got a lot of useful information, a ton of free PDF tip sheets you can download, and my contact form is on there.
Awesome. And that's great advice too. If you're challenging one of your small businesses about things, you could send them to his website to get some tips as well. And hopefully refer them to our Smarter Online Safety podcast as well. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. This concludes another episode of the Smarter Online Safety podcast. Stay safe out there.